Suspenders Unbuttoned podcast. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Julie. Join us for unbuttoned and unedited conversations.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Suspenders Unbuttoned podcast. My name is Sarah.
And I'm Julie. And we're excited to have Derek Thompson with us today. Welcome, Derek.
Thanks for having me. Nice to see you both.
We're so excited that we finally got you on. And thanks for taking some time out of your busy day.
Oh, anytime. It's great to talk to you. Yeah, I look forward to this.
We'll have fun. So first of all, I want to say congratulations on season 12 and that fun news. So congratulations. And we know you're in the middle of writing right now.
We are, yes, right in the thick of things, getting closer and closer to filming. Yeah, it's exciting times. We're really happy. And thanks everyone for watching, keeping it going.
It's been fun. So, the fans are engaged. It's season 11 now for us, and you guys are working on season 12. I mean, it's kind of crazy. You started at season 2, right?
Season 2, yeah.
You must have been like a teenager then. Jeez,
a long time ago. Yeah, this is my 11th season I'm going into, so it's pretty surreal. Doesn't seem like that long. It's actually just feels like a blur, but a lot of good times. It's a fun show to write. I feel really lucky.
I know a lot of people aren't fans of season 2, but I actually enjoy it.
It was different. It was different. Departure for sure. There's a whole story behind that, which I probably can't tell, but it was it was a challenge. And I think when we brought it back to what the show was, people really responded to that. So it was sometimes you have to go away a little bit, come back, and everyone appreciates it more. But I think some of that was really fun. I did enjoy a lot of it. But it was a change for sure.
Yeah, I always think that it's a little underestimated because there's some really pivotal moments in that season that really showed us who Elizabeth is. And
yes.
We get to watch that journey. So anyway, that's my little unpopular opinion.
Nice. There's some fun things out of that season too, but it's an interesting place to start. Like they had already rolled out one season, and then how did you become part of the writing crew then?
I was coming off another Hallmark show called Cedar Cove with Annie McDowell, and I'd finished a season of that and took a little time off, and I think I was in Toronto doing meetings and interviews and trying to get stuff going, and I got a call and said the new showrunners of When Calls the Heart want to talk, and so we got talking and got along. And one thing that they said was we're thinking about bringing this flashy new guy to town, Lee. I think his name was Culver back then, but Lee Coulter. And we're going to bring him to town. He's going to show up on a motorcycle, and he's going to be flashy, and he's going to start a sawmill. And I said, well, that's cool. I could help you there. I used to, in a previous life before I was writing, I worked in sawmills and forestry stuff. And one of the showrunners said, "Oh, you're hired. we need someone that can help write Lee." And I said, "Okay, yeah, I'm your guy." So in a weird way, this old career of mine kind of helped me get that gig. And then, the rest was history. It was just, I think I started 2 days after that, had to move down to Los Angeles, and it was crazy.
Wow.
And all these years later. Yeah.
I know, Julie, you're going to say, aren't you?
I am. Did you write these entrance into Hope Valley?
I mean, I was a part of it. It was, I can picture that card. At that time we were working in our my boss's living room in Los Angeles, and she had cards across every wall of her living room. And I remember this one card, just Lee rides in on the motorcycle, and it was big bold letters because it was going to be a big moment. And so it was kind of a thing we were building to the whole time. I guess I can't remember if that was the first or second episode, but when he kind of came to save the day because the mine was closing and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's vivid. I mean, that was kind of like the first scenes we wrote. So it was
best entrance ever into Hope Valley.
yeah,
it's our favorite. It's our favorite entrance by far. Like,
yeah.
We're like, you wrote Lee, so that makes that whole season perfect.
So speaking of, well, not really of Lee, but let's get back to season 11 since we're kind of in the thick of that. And we know you wrote episode 2 and you've also written episode 11, which everybody is very excited to see, especially since the promo pictures dropped. But tell us a little bit about episode 2 and about writing that miscommunication storyline for Nathan's birthday party, because we thought that was really fun.
Yeah, we knew we were going to bring, Lucas back, and that was a big, matzo ball hanging out there that he was going to come back at some point. It's going to be strange and different and everything. And we thought, well, we could steer away from that and kind of shield Elizabeth and Nathan from it, or we can just have some fun with it. And it is what it is. They've gotten over it. Months have passed. And so I thought it'd be fun to just have this kind of fun of her sneaking around and getting pulled into this party when she maybe didn't want to. And does that put her too much into the Nathan, relationship zone, or what's going on with them? And but Elizabeth's his friend and wanted to do something nice for him. And then to have this Lucas arrive right in the middle of it, I thought was a perfect ending to that episode. With kind of interrupting the first really nice little moment between Elizabeth and Nathan when they're outside the saloon. So yeah, it was lots of fun to write. I really enjoyed it, and I think they did a great job.
So that little moment outside the saloon was the get the confetti star out of her hair a written moment?
No. I give credit to, I think it was Aaron. I think said, what if, we've had this celebration, there's going to be confetti. What if he, pulls something, like a star or whatever it was out of my hair. And at first I thought, what's that going to look like? And then we talked about it and they talked about it with the director, and yeah, that could be really cool. And that actually, comes back later. So it's, yeah. Sometimes it takes a village, right? Everyone has their own unique thing to add to the episode. And in that case, Aaron had a nice way to kind of cap that moment before it was interrupted.
Yeah. And then boom.
Or he's a jolly good fellow.
We were warned it was going to be slow, but
no, I mean, we were, of course, everybody was like, why is Lucas back now? But if it would have happened any other way, it wouldn't have been right. That was the perfect way for him to come back.
He's such a big figure, especially now that he's governor. And, I think that's fun, and he's got the limp. He's been through a lot. He's just why not give him the grand entrance, right?
Very fitting. Yes. So we have to talk about the scene with Elizabeth and Jack when Jack was making the birthday card, because that was one of the sweetest moments I think ever. And we want to just kind of know what, when you were writing that scene, what did you have to take into consideration for writing for a little 5-year-old?
Well, I've got a son that's roughly the same age as him. So all of that, a lot of the stuff with him always comes from my son. Is so if I'm trying to get him to write in a birthday card for my wife, it's that kind of vibe. And so he steers me in the right direction that way. But, we wanted to keep it subtle and to show Elizabeth's side of it and the way she feels about him and the complication of how the relationships have turned, and to kind of bring a little kid with little kid eyes into it just creates this innocence around it, which is always nice. Adults can overthink things and make things more complicated than they need to be, but a kid can cut right through it and just be like, obviously I care about him, and here's a picture of us as a little, possibly a family one day. And it just gives us, the audience, another way to look at it. So that's how I approached it. It was a really sweet scene. He's such a cute kid.
Yeah.
It was such a sweet scene. And I mean, got Scout, got the horses on the card, got them all.
Yeah.
The whole
Brings
crew.
it all together. Yeah.
Really, really so sweet. In that scene, they both Elizabeth and Jack say they want to get it just right, and now we've just heard that line come back through again last week with Elizabeth and Rosemary, and her saying just right. I mean, was that intentional?
Yeah, I think that's part of the tale of the season is, if something's going to happen, if it does, it's been bubbling for so long, ever since he said the words back in previous season, that it brings with it this little pressure to make sure it goes right. And I think we can all relate to that sometimes when you wait for something for so long. So not to spoil anything, but I think that's the way they're thinking right now. Obviously, no definitive decisions have been made, but if they're heading that way, you build this pressure up on yourself. And so that's definitely something we follow through the season.
Yeah. And it's kind of interesting because even like just going back to the previous season, getting it just right. It's like the dance even was a nod to that from season 6.
Right. See? We meant to do
it. We noticed. There might be 1,000 edits of that too.
It was great for all of the callbacks to previous seasons. Erin is so handy with that. Okay. She's kind of like our 7th writer in the room sometimes. I don't know how many writers we have right now, but about that. And she'll chime in with just this, we did this in season 2. That'd be a fun little callback. And I worked on that season, and I don't even remember that, but because for us, there's a million stories that never got shot.
Right.
So I have trouble a lot of the time remembering what's real and what's not, what was shot and shown, because for us, we've written how many versions of this thing. And there's probably 4 other seasons available in script form if anyone's interested one day. Anyway, she's so good at kind of reading the scripts and then finding these spots to just what if we did that? It'd be such a nice callback to season 5, 6, 7. So she's really, really helpful. It's nice to have cast that, studies the show, remembers the show, cares about it like she does. And, so many of our cast members are like that. They're really invested and they don't just show up and just say what's there. They add to it, which is great.
Yeah, we've been lucky enough to talk to quite a few cast members, and you can just see almost like the joy on their face when they're talking about their characters and the stories, and it's really fun. But talking about these throwbacks, we were just mentioning, and we know Erin often comes up with these little ideas, but in the writer's room, are you ever looking for ways to add that into the script?
Oh yeah, I mean, we one of our writers who you've talked to, Allie.
Yeah,
she's she joined us season, oh boy, when was that, 8, and she just became this historian of the show. Thankfully, because there's at that point, even with 8 seasons, there was just so much material. But she went through and just chronicled all of it in this document that was available to us, so we could kind of search for these little things and remember, oh, did that actually happen? Did we shoot that? Did that show? And so she's really great at bringing up these old things that we could kind of mirror back to. I've been around for a while, so I remember quite a few of them too, and some of our other writers have been around too. But sometimes they just come to you in a scene, like you're just doing something, and it just rings a bell, and you just, yeah, if I can, and then you go look up that script, find the way it was written. And for those hardies that are diehard, Like, I think it's nice to put those little nuggets in there for them, like the ones that'll remember every line. I mean, I talk to so many Hardys that have seen every episode dozens of times. It's incredible, and they know every single word. It's amazing. So we kind of do it for them too. We put these little ones in there, and they always find them. Like they always find those little Easter eggs. So it's it's fun to do that. That usually comes later in the process. Like we'll get a draft done, and then you can start doing things like that. You can start to kind of factor in all these fun little additions. So yeah, we do a lot of that in the room.
Everyone loves getting some of those pieces, those throwbacks, and also we kind of love how right now when we see those things, they're actually pushing a storyline forward. Do you really think about that when you're trying to write those moments?
I think that's always the goal. We don't want to do anything that just is there for the purpose of a callback or anything else. We want it to have some meaning, so that if someone picks up on the context of it, it does kind of help them along this storyline. I mean, there are times when we probably do one-off gags where just if people catch it, they'll like it. But usually for us, the name of the game is everything we do is for the purpose of trying to move the train down the track and offer something new. So if we can use that as a little, as a technique to do that, we do. And usually you can tell right away if it just feels right. And sometimes it's forced and we just abandon it. But if it just feels right, soft and chewy, like we say, then we use it. Yeah.
Do you have?
I'm gonna remember that.
Soft and chewy. Is there one that really sticks out to you that you really enjoyed, either writing or getting to watch?
Yeah, we came up with one this morning, so I guess I can't talk about that because it's a
season. So that'd be for season 12.
Go ahead, you can tell us.
But I mean, what it was it's a schoolhouse scene, and it's from Aaron. Aaron kind of sparked it, but I won't give it away. But it was a schoolhouse scene, and it's sort of I won't give away too much, but let's say it's first day of school, and something the kids say to each other is very similar to what kids say at school in season 1, in one of the early. So for the real diehard fans that remember those moments, it's things like that. But someone could say that's just a gag or whatever, but it also shows us how far we've come, and we've got students that started in season 1 that are going to be graduating soon. It's incredible. Or have.
Yeah, I mean, bringing Cadence back to play Anna, and that's so impactful. Actually, just very powerful to tie her into the Higgins storyline.
It was great to have her back. She's actually my sister's best friend's daughter. We all grew up in this smaller BC town, and then they moved to closer to Vancouver. And Cadence is a twin.
Yep.
And she and her twin sister were very, that was pretty handy when you're young, a young actor, to be a twin when you're 3 or 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
And her sister didn't really keep with it, but Cadence did. And when Cadence was 10, I swear she was like a 45-year-old. You could sit down and tell you all about the world, and I felt like almost dumb listening to her. Just that's a good point. Good. I'm listening to a 10-year-old tell me about the world. So good to have her back, and I think hopefully we keep bringing her back because she's an interesting parallel with Elizabeth because she's a teacher.
Yeah, and I think that the moment Higgins came into town, I think all the people invested in the show got a little mama bear, right? Like, don't mess with Anna, like our little Anna from season 1.
Yeah. As soon as that was pitched, we just said, that's work.
It was perfect.
About that's going to bring out the best in Elizabeth and the strongest in Elizabeth, and it works too with Nathan, and there's that just came together. beautifully.
Yeah, we were all kind of Nathan there for a minute. Let me go, rip them apart.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's fun to see those to come through the seasons. So this season, the investigation in who shot Lucas is this longitudinal season-long story. So when you're writing 2 different episodes, primary writer for them, like how do you keep track of making sure you get your pieces into your episode?
Yeah, it was tricky, especially that one, because it got pretty complicated. And there was a point in the room, I remember, when we all said, okay, this is almost more complicated than we can understand, and we're making it up. So that means we need to, okay. So we sat down and we really like wrote it out across the entire season in this really easy to follow big flowchart document. And we kind of committed to what's going to be in every episode, and not to deviate from that, because it's very easy to do that when you're writing, to take liberties this way or that way. But because we're trying to track it, we had to be pretty cautious of that. So, and of course we were changing things as we went, because we were making it better. And here's a new twist that we could put on it, and then we get lots of notes, as I'm sure you've heard. But yeah, that was we had I remember 2 days where we pretty much only talked about that case, and just fine-tuned this thing right to the end. And with notes and input from everyone, it changed right to the very end, as it always does. But at least we had a general blueprint of who did it, who didn't do it, what are the twists and turns, what are Bill and Rosemary going to find, how does that, I mean, the fun of that story too is putting Rosemary and Bill together, and how does that affect them, and what's the fun in those scenes, what does it do to Nathan, Elizabeth, everybody else. So it was a challenge, but lots of fun. We like to, I think it balances the softer stories nicely to have this little motor, like a mystery and a whodunit.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, we said, like, if we pieced all these pieces together, I believe we have a Hallmark movies and mystery movie.
Hey, don't give them ideas. That might fly.
I'm like, let's pull them together. Yeah. I'm sure we can edit them. I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who will start editing those pieces.
It's really fun following everyone's interpretation of where it might go, because online it's just, everyone's got a theory, and
everybody,
some of it's stuff I couldn't even have thought about, but it totally makes sense. So yeah, kudos to everybody. They're doing a good job.
Has anybody gotten it right yet?
Yeah, there's been a couple that are pretty close. So I think, I hope there's some pools going on out there. People betting each other that it's going to be. I've heard everybody from. Oh, I won't even list them because I don't want to get.
Oh, pretty much everybody's been listed. So
everybody but Little Jack. Yeah.
Also,
maybe.
Yeah, even last week's started throwing wrenches in with Rosemary and Lee. Like, let's just throw them all into the mix.
Oh yeah, it's fun. Keep them on their toes. Yeah.
It is really fun, and I love that we're just getting kind of these little pieces or little bite-sized, moments throughout each episode, and it's not just one episode only about who shot Lucas. So I think it's a really fun, and it feels really fresh because we've never seen this happen before in Mo Valley. So
we've had our crimes, we've had our bad guys.
Yeah,
this is one of our own almost got killed, and it's super serious, and he's the governor, and then you mix that in with everything that would happen with Elizabeth and Nathan. Like, it just becomes a really full story, and it keeps us going through the season. And episode 11 is pretty fun. It's
so episode 11, you brought it up. Let's we got some press pictures, and let's just say they've got everybody going like this. We've got there's a lot of guns out. The guns are blazing.
Yeah.
A lot of Surge. Yep.
A lot of
Yeah.
Surge.
What else did they release? Maybe you saw
There's
some.
the hay wagon. Nathan and Elizabeth are in the hay wagon. That's the one that's got everyone going.
There's always some. Yeah, I wondered if they would release that, but yeah,
They did.
That says a lot. It says that something exciting happened.
Something happened.
Nations run wild.
Yeah.
Not that wild, but like it's it's more
Hallmark wild.
exciting.
Hallmark, not Bridgerton.
We're talking
Not a
heroes.
This
We're
is a hay
talking,
wagon.
yes, not Bridgerton. Not we're talking. Yeah, it's a really fun sequence. Once that episode gets going, it's pretty wild.
The episode does have a name. It's a Leap of Faith.
Leap of Faith. Yeah, I don't know if that's what I named it, but sometimes they change. Most of my episodes are a song name.
We've noticed. Yeah.
I love the song name one.
Yeah, I don't know why that started happening, but
I'm here for it. It's a good prompt for edits. Besides,
yeah. It's sometimes you write an episode and it just feels like a song, and you just
right?
Yeah, that'd be a good time for that.
Yeah, no, especially if you can have like a classic rock song, I'm in. So.
Oh yeah. I've had a few of those. I think over the years. Everything from the Beatles to Metallica. I think.
Yeah. I'm the. Go ahead and. Give me some old albums to bust out.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, no, we've appreciated them and noticed them. I have up Genesis, Eric Clapton, and Chicago 16. But
I love Eric Clapton.
Yeah.
I used to have Eric Clapton poster on my wall when I was a young lad for some reason. I'm not sure why.
Right? Why not? Because he's an amazing guitar player.
He's the slow hand, yeah.
Right?
It's always fun to look up what song is it this time and try to figure out what song you're naming the episode after.
Yeah, it kind of gives you an indication. It's always a trick to have a title that touches every storyline. If you can, that's usually my test. If the title can apply to every single storyline, even if it's a stretch, I'm good. I'll go with that. But Leap of Faith is good too.
Okay, so now we need to know, what did you name it?
What did you name it?
I have to look up. I'll look that up. But
yeah.
I can't remember exactly. I'll look it up and I'll let you know.
Yeah.
But it was, I think it might have been a Tragically Hip song.
Yeah.
A Canadian band for our American.
Yeah.
One of our more famous Canadian bands. I'll look it up. I'll let you know.
Yeah. Now I'm curious.
But,
I'll send you the title page.
Yeah.
I'll probably get in trouble from Pete for that, but Pete,
there's no comments coming from Pete.
NO on the comments if I can't do that, Pete.
Did you write What Should Never Be last year?
Yes.
I just because it feels like that might be yours, just based on picking the song.
Based on the song.
Yeah, which episode was? I think that season I did 2 and 11 again.
11.
11. I always do 2.
Last season you did 2, 8, and 11.
Was it 8?
Oh, 8. It might have been
8 because I think it's the Muffin Man. Did you write the muffin?
Oh, the muffin. Yeah.
The Muffin
8.
Man.
What else was in 8? The apple juice. Am I right? Is that the right one?
No, apple juice.
I think it's Muffin Man and Camping.
No.
Nope.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't know. Well, there we are. Anyway,
I'll mix up seasons too. I can mix up a season like that and forget. Oh, we're just showing we're showing season 11 now, not 12. But anyway,
so last season for us was 10. That's 2 seasons ago for you.
That's right. I make a lot of gaffes on these interviews where I'll just start talking about something in 12. You won't see that until next year. Okay. Edit.
Whoops.
We can edit, right?
We can edit if we need to. Yes.
Yes, we can absolutely edit. So, yeah, no, okay, no, that's fun. I'm like, as we're talking there, I'm like, he totally wrote "What Is What Should Never Be." Like that has to be your song.
For years, it had to have the word heart in it.
Yes.
For years, we did that, and then we just started. And one year, we accidentally named one the same as like season 4, the same as episode 2 of season 2 or something.
Yeah.
And it became this whole thing because the wrong writer got billed or paid for the script. They got all confused because of the episode name. And so we said, okay, now we can stop doing heart because we've used every good heart.
Yeah.
When we possibly could.
Used all the heart up.
Yeah, used it up. Yeah.
How many pieces can you break that into anyway? So, we enjoy a good song episode title, so you can pass that on. And I love to do edits out of the songs, so that's
cool. Nice.
Yeah, probably my favorite. And I feel like this year I'm not getting songs as enough.
Not getting songs in the show, in the episode.
No, in the title.
In the title.
Oh, in the title. Yeah, I think Beth Stewart had a song title I think last season. And then sometimes people don't know it's a song title. The thing with titles for episodes is if you put them into Google and look at, there's probably a song.
Right.
Like if it's catchy and fun, if it's not too specific, it'll probably be a song too.
I mean, season 10, Deep Water too. That's like a classic, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. I mean, there were a few kind of very classic, obvious song titles in season 10. This year, not so much. Not so much.
Not as much. Not as much.
So as we're going into episode 11, is there anything you can tease?
No, we're going into episode 10.
10. Sure. But he wrote episode 11.
He wrote episode 11.
Look for in episode 11. Like, that's not a giveaway.
Oh, like a little Easter egg in episode 11.
Well, I mean, you know their guns. You know that there's two people in a hay wagon. So obviously something comes to town. Something happens. There's I don't want to say that. I'm going to be careful of my words here. But let's say what we build to the whole season all comes together in 11.
Okay.
And we learn a lot about some of our favorite characters, including Lucas. And I'll say an ending to remember for sure.
Okay.
I don't know if they've spoiled that yet. I hope not, but maybe that'll come.
I don't think so, not yet.
Yeah, it's it's what. It's so hard to tease these things without saying too much.
I think that was good.
Yeah.
Lots of things together.
It's all the things we're building to. They all kind of come together at once, and I think it pays off.
The ultimate episode. So
yeah, which you seem to always get to write, which is really fun.
I don't know why that is. Yeah, the last few I've done that, but it's kind of fun because usually some really exciting things happen in episode 11. We tend to, in recent years, we have that kind of shape where something big drops in 11, and then we ease into a lighter, fun, romantic, hopefully episode 12, and then maybe there's a twist of some kind. And so, 11's usually just where all the things come together and all the surprises and the twists. And so I'm happy to write that. I don't know if I'll be writing 11 this year, but I definitely wrote 2 again in season 12. So,
okay.
It's a pattern.
Because that one, 2 know.
Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about that, Derek. Like, how does the writer's room work? Like, what is your process? We know you're writing now and you already know some of the episodes you might be writing. So how do you all lay that out and divvy it up kind of thing?
It's kind of all guided by our showrunner, and every showrunner is different in how they like to approach it. Right now, Lindsay Sturman, she's, she's very collaborative and just like open to whatever people come with when we start the room. And then usually the first several weeks are just breaking the whole season. What are we going to do? What's the big story? What's the big turn? What are we trying to achieve? What are the loose ends from the previous season? How are we going to get there? And, we're constantly writing documents and sharing them with the network and our parent company that owns the show, and Erin too, because she's an executive producer. And so we're collaborating with everyone, just trying to kind of sell the vision for the show. And so, in the season you're watching right now, we know what like those season arcs are like, well, who shot Lucas and what's going to happen with Elizabeth's relationships. And, are Rosemary and Bill a good partner together solving crime and all these things. So we're doing that for a while, and then we just start to allocate the scripts, and the showrunner kind of decides who's going to go first and second and third, and lots of things go into that. And then we just, we still work together at that point, but there's a lot more working solo where you start to just break out your episodes, and we start small with little paragraphs that summarize what the episodes are. We try to get those approved. Then it breaks out into, we call them beat sheets, which are just summaries of every scene in the episode, and we get those approved. And then my favorite part, you get cut loose to go and write your script and do your thing. And so yeah, that's our basic process. But then it doesn't really end there, because as soon as we get what we call prep, which is where we start planning the episodes, and the director comes in and all the talented, set designers and lighting people and all that stuff. They come in and we decide how are we going to do this. And then of course from that, there are a million changes. We got to move this here, move that there. So that's a whole different style of writing on the fly. So yeah, the writer job in TV shows, the writer's job is really never finished until the end, until like, they absolutely don't have anything else to shoot. And even in editing, the writers can come in handy there, because sometimes you just have to cut something out that doesn't work and figure out a way to splice it back together. So that's, start to finish, that's what we do. And every room is different and every showrunner is different. I've been in rooms where you just really off on your own, and yeah, you want to write about that, go for it. And for 2 weeks, you kind of just develop your own episodes. I kind of like this. I like being with people. Well, we're on the screens ever since COVID, but I was laughing with Allie, who you had on, right? And I met her in person for 3 days in season 8 before COVID hit. And I moved my family down to Vancouver, and we had a place that we were renting, and 3 days it hits, they send us home. And I've seen Allie, even though we're so close, we love working with each other. We talk a lot and help each other, but we've seen each other in person, how many times. So yeah, we're ever since COVID, we're all on the screens. I'm hoping that changes. I'm hoping they kind of go back to more in-person stuff, because we used to find like the best answers came at lunch. You'd go for lunch, you'd get your mind off it, and then it would just like, oh, that's what we're missing. We got to do this. I think when we're all just in our own little world, it's a little harder. But yeah, that's it in a nutshell. Writing's a crazy endeavor, but highs and lows, and a lot of things that work and a lot of things that don't. But over time, it just comes together. We work together and make it happen.
I'm kind of laughing that you've only met like Allie 3 days, because Sarah and our story, we've been doing a podcast for 2.5 years, and only a few days have we ever seen each other.
How did you was it a COVID thing where you got together during that time, or was it after that you just decided?
That's how we met, really. It was a COVID thing, right?
Was it chat? No.
It was kind of during all that, maybe a little after, and we met in a chat group, and we have an Instagram account that we would do a lot of lives, and then we started having guests on our lives, and then the podcast kind of grew out of that. Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. I mean, I watched a few in prep for this. I think it's fantastic. You guys do a
You
great
never
job.
have to prep for us.
Just come and we like to chat. We're so interested in like the process and the thing. And our podcast is kind of broad, so we've kind of had people from all different kinds of backgrounds on it. So
I said to Allie, like, you got to give me a heads up. Are there any trick questions? And she said, yes. You need to know what your favorite rom-com is.
oh,
Oh, don't do
that is
that.
true. It's true.
Got me going. Yeah,
So are you prepared?
yeah. So I thought, oh, that's a good question on the spot. I might get stumped on that one, but anyway.
That's funny. I was like, what did we ask Allie? That was so hard.
Well, mostly we get multiple answers, not just one, because I mean, people are in the industry, and so they have thoughts.
It's hard to choose. Yeah.
That's hilarious that she gave that as
That is funny.
the hard question.
She was
We ask all the difficult questions.
So Derek, I'm wondering, what is your process when you're not in the Zoom room and you're sent off to work on your own script? What is your process? Do you have all that music in the background and that's why the titles come from that, or do you like the
Yeah, but I get out of the house. I love my family, but I've got 2 little kids, and it gets hard to write for a sustained period at home, and because I just hear them and I want to go up there. And I'm bad when I write. Any distraction, I can be pulled away, because scenes are just like mountains when you first get into them.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's so slow for me to start. So I go to a coffee shop that I like to go to. I listen to a lot of like whatever the year is that I'm writing. So if it's 1920, I'll go and like, Spotify's great. You can pick a great 1920 album or a playlist, and it's great. It just kind of takes you into the saloon. Like you just feel like you're in that world. So I do that, and then when I get behind, which is always then the music goes up in tempo. It gets a little harder, and kind of motivates me to go. And then when I'm editing, I kind of put softer stuff on, just more relaxing. So yeah, there's a whole process to it, I guess. It's ridiculous. My wife thinks it's pretty funny.
It makes good sense to me. Like,
I think the people at the coffee shop must think I'm crazy, because I kind of read them to myself, and I probably at times I'm talking out loud and I don't even know it. But it's I have to kind of transplant myself somewhere else and just like, that's what I'm going to do today. And at home it's too many distractions. But that's my favorite part. I love that's when we get to that point where I get to just do it. That's kind of why I like to do it. It's because then it's just free. It's just we're constrained by what the network and everyone approves, but within that you can have a lot of freedom to kind of just find things and move it around. And so yeah, that's I'm sort of in the middle of that right now with one of my scripts, and it's great. This is the happy time.
The happy time.
I love that. Allie told us that you guys, the writers, do table reads.
Sometimes, yeah.
So who are you when you're doing the table read?
A lot of the times I'm the only man, so I'll do all the guys. And they'll do, someone will do Elizabeth. There's always a lot of Elizabeth, so somebody will do that. Somebody will do Rosemary. There's always a lot of Rosemary. And I'll do all the guys. Sometimes I do the narration too, but yeah, I do a lot of Bill, Nathan, Lucas, Hickam. Yeah,
love that. Yeah, Allie told us, she's like, I do the kids.
Yeah, it's just the kids. Yeah, that's right.
Beth does. We thought that was. Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh no.
Oh, I was going to say, we thought that was interesting because a very long time ago when Kevin was on the podcast, he talked about how the actors don't get to do table reads. And when he first joined the show, thought that was different because he was used to doing that. But So I think it's fun that the writers do it so that all the lines are said out, out loud, and you can kind of work through that together as writers.
It's kind of helpful. It's one last look at it before it goes. And, all my scripts, I read them out loud before I send them in by myself anyway, before I send them to Lindsay or the showrunner, because when you say them out loud, you can find the dialogue that steps on itself, or it's a tongue twister, or just sounds repetitive or whatever. So to have everybody read it and to be able to listen, especially when it's your episode and you can do more listening, sometimes, we'll do it so that the person that wrote it gets to listen a bit more. They don't have so many parts and you can just hear it. It's helpful. It's too bad we don't do table reads with the actors. I think part of it is having a massive cast like we do.
Right.
It's hard to organize.
Organize all the time. Yeah.
And we're not there very much. Once we get into production, sometimes a writer is there. But when I used to be on set, season 3 and 4, I was on set the whole run.
Wow.
And actors used to come into my trailer and we would do reads. Like I would do narration and they would do a couple parts, and they loved to do it. And I've done it on other shows and it's really helpful. So maybe we can get back there. It's so much changed after COVID.
I know.
There was a time where we couldn't even go to set, and it was just what it was. It was difficult, but I think we can get back to that kind of stuff. It's great to see everyone's reaction to it.
Yeah, that's fun. We're getting we have to wrap things up. So
hey.
Yes.
We have to ask now, what is your favorite rom-com?
Well, 4 Weddings and a Funeral, I guess.
Yeah.
So when I got to work with Andie MacDowell, I was just like, this is crazy.
Right.
And Sleepless in Seattle.
My
wife loves that, so we watch it weekly. Bi-weekly.
Classic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those would be at the top of the list, I think.
Love that. Do you have a favorite TV series or a TV series outside of When Calls the Heart, or a TV series, something that you're binging right now?
Well, my wife and I binge The Office regularly.
Yeah.
Just always love that. There's a show called Girls on HBO.
Yeah.
Which shouldn't be for me. It's about 20s women finding their way in New York. For some reason, I just love it. I think so much of it is hilarious. Breaking Bad, I could watch over and over and over. It's I think those are the 3 that I'd probably go to them, which is weird because they're so different than what I write here. But I think you steal from everything. Yeah, you gotta steal from everything, right?
Yeah. Okay, last one. Do you have a favorite episode for When Calls the Heart that you've ever written, or maybe a favorite scene?
It's probably I don't even know what the real title of that episode is because everyone calls it the Homestead episode in season 2.
Yeah.
I think partly because it was one of my first that I wrote, and you probably know from the New England group, Donna Cohen.
Yeah.
So she and I met at a Hardy's reunion, and she told me her story, and she gave me a gift, like this awesome. I should have had it here. It's a mug that says hashtag favorite writer on it, and she always is so supportive. And like after every episode that I have written airs, she'll send me a message. And anyway, she said it was one of her favorites, and we've stayed in touch. I actually did a podcast like this, and she was able to be like a guest interviewer on it. And she's a very strong person, wonderful person who's been through a lot. And so we always talk about that episode, and that means a lot to me. And yeah, being my first, yes, it was season 2, but it was sort of
a good episode, the Homestead episode.
Yeah, it was the one where they kind of came back and had their moments and showed them together in a new light. And so I have fond memories of that episode always. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
everyone.
love that.
I mean, that's like kind of a classic episode. So yeah, that is a great answer.
We'll have to look up what it was called because I can't remember.
Well, I mean, you know,
Something with
Homestead,
heart.
Homestead Heart.
things. You know, it's like, you know, you're always just going to get a name. Like it's always going to be, you know, the birthday party scene or
Yeah, yeah.
scene or the Muffin Man scene. Or
Originally, she was supposed to help give help a cow birth a calf in that episode. That was how it was originally written, and they said no. Pete, bear with me here, but like Hallmark said, no, we don't do that. And then it was going to be a pig, and then it was a dog, and then it was like, no, we don't want to do any of that. She can book a stall or
No
something.
births.
No
No water
births.
pump. She just needs help with that pump.
It was the water pump. Yeah, like that. The well, like that's what.
Yep. Going with the water pump.
See, we can release all these scripts some other time and make a whole new series out of it. Yeah,
It would be a lot of fun.
The fans would eat that up, I'm sure.
Oh man, people would love to just see pages from old scripts that didn't get used or things like that. It would be fun.
I'll ask Pete if they can release those.
Something could be a little nugget. Well, thank you for joining us. We had a great time.
Thank you for having me. Yes, wonderful to see you both. And yes, thank you. We could anytime you want to do something like this, let me know.
We will.
We will, for sure. Thank you, everybody, for watching.
Thank you, Hardee's.